Hi, my name is Andrew Stier, and I am a data scientist at a large tech company in Seattle. So as a data scientist, basically that just means I'm working with a lot of data. I actually consider myself more of a machine learning engineer, and that's why I have this job, is because there was a lot of machine learning. The maybe most data science-y part is I do work with a lot of SQL type languages where I'm looking at large databases and I'm sorting through that data to look for trends or analyze results. But also a lot of my day-to-day work is setting up the software for infrastructure to apply machine learning models or large language models. So there is a lot of software engineering that's involved with it, as well as a lot of applying machine learning and machine learning infrastructure. So right now, actually, I'm working with a lot of large language models. Specifically, we have this really big boom in large language models like ChatGPT, and basically that means that we can pass data into this model. And when I say data, I mean like prompts, like language, natural language, like, can you tell me blank about blank? And the model will be able to answer that question for us. It's really powerful. And so I think a lot of tech right now is trying to integrate that into everything. Now with this new advance, we're allowed to do this more advanced model where we have this ChatGPT or other analogous large language model to interpret those results directly. Let's say you wanted to develop an algorithm that could look at different websites that sell ice cream, and you just want to know, what are the ice cream flavors sold at these ice cream places? And so in the past, maybe you would use some sort of model that checks for the words ice cream and flavor, and that's a lot of work now, right? But now you can just ask a machine learning model or a large language model, what flavors exist on this website? Pass that in and get those answers. And now the work here comes in. There are different ways that you can ask that question. You could say, what are the ice cream flavors? You could say, which flavors of ice cream? There's all these little things. And so there have been a lot of techniques developed recently. We call it prompt engineering. How do you word that prompt that you're asking to get results that you really want? So there are ways where these models can misinterpret questions in a way that a human wouldn't misinterpret it. And so there's been a lot of work in understanding what are those ways and how can we proactively prevent them. I didn't take any software engineering classes growing up. What I did do is play a lot of video games. I loved video games, and so I was good at math and I liked science, so I studied biomedical engineering in undergrad. And I think this is a good lesson, that even if your undergrad wasn't tech, that doesn't prevent you from later going into that. Because as part of my undergrad, I had to take my first intro to software engineering courses, and I fell in love with it instantly. I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then I went to grad school as a computer engineer and got my PhD, and that's when I really hit the gas pedal. And that was right around the time when machine learning was really getting big. I loved it, so I was like, okay, I'm in the right path. I love what I'm doing. And then I graduated and got my first job. I think the reason that I really like machine learning and data science and software engineering in general is, to me, it does kind of feel like a video game. It feels like something I used to do as a hobby for fun, but it's problem solving. And instead of unlocking a cutscene, you unlock a solution to a real world problem that can help people and make you some money too. And I think in general with software engineering, there is a lot of flexibility, and you can start your day later and end your day later if you want, as long as you're putting in the time getting your tasks done. And I'm lucky that my company has a private bus. It picks up right outside my apartment. So I'll wake up by 8, get on the bus by 9. I start work on the bus. I work until maybe 4:30, end work on the bus, and get home. So my commute time is effectively 0 because I'm working on the bus, and we have the magic of hotspot where you can connect to Wi-Fi wherever you are. So that's been really nice. I usually have a pretty good idea of what needs to get done that day. If I ever do need a reminder, I can look at this basically Scrum board that has my objectives, but I know I'm constantly working with my boss. I'm not gonna forget what my project is. So I am constantly trying to make progress on usually one specific or two specific big projects, and trying to debug the problems that are coming up, or those projects will have multiple parts, and you kind of learn how to, all right, today I'm gonna work on solving this part of it and making this work. So it really is a lot of self-disciplined, get it done, almost like homework. It feels very similar to PhD. I think the most exciting part about my job has always been one of the most exciting things about working with software in general for me, is when you have a problem and it's a really difficult problem, or there's a bug or something's not working and you don't know why, and you work at it and work at it and work at it, and then suddenly you have this like eureka moment, this aha, like, oh my gosh, I found it, I have the solution. That rush of endorphins from getting the right answer, I mean, I feel like I can conquer the world after I do that. I think one thing that's interesting about my field, especially, I was an undergrad in biomedical engineering, so I dealt with a lot of engineers. And for other engineering disciplines, you need specific certifications or you need to get a professional engineer. We don't need any of that, right? And I think software engineering and tech in general is actually one of the more accepting and flexible fields where people get in without even a college degree if they really know what they're doing, which is nice. One thing I did do outside of my classes that I think can look really good on a resume, besides doing independent projects, doing hackathons, maybe your school hosts them, maybe some organization hosts them, where you create a team and there will be a problem that they task you with solving, or you create your own, like, hey, this is what we accomplish, and then they give you maybe 48 hours, maybe a week, and they say, all right, work on this, see what you can accomplish. And then there will be awards, and you're working with a team, and it's fun, and there's snacks, and you don't sleep at all, and it's like a big nerd tech party. So when I got off of work, it's like, all right, I have the rest of the day. What do I want to do with it? And so as someone who would love to be on the big screen one day, this is actually great. This is like my dream come true. I'm on your screen right now, right? I'm part of an improv theater here, which I love, Jet City Improv, shout out. And that's been really fun. And improv is actually one of the greatest stress reliefs because I don't have to prepare anything. I just go in, make people laugh, get goofy with my friends. It's like a great debrief from all the stress. And then there's stand-up, which is also very fun, but stand-up's a lot more work. That you actually have to prepare, and you're going in and you're telling jokes and you're being vulnerable and you're like, maybe this will land, maybe this won't. So here's how comedy is kind of like machine learning, right? So in comedy, I'm at an open mic. Maybe I have 5 jokes I want to try. I do all those jokes, and I do that for that audience, and I'm seeing which jokes are working or which ones are not. I'm a really high energy person, so like I'll always like, hey guys, what's up? And sometimes they're like, girl, it's like too early for this. And that's kind of equivalent to when you have a model and you have a training data set, and you're trying to tune the parameters of the model. Because a lot of times machine learning models, it's not just one model, right? You can change different aspects of it, and you want to see what is giving you correct results. Sometimes I'm wondering if I should just like start dancing in my routine because I did hip hop dance. And so for me, a correct result is a laugh. You've cut all the toxic people except me. And so if I'm delivering these jokes to the audience and I'm getting correct results, I'm tuning my model or tuning my jokes in that way. How good are you with your camera? How fast can you keep up with me? Hey, he's good. Now here's the thing you have to be careful of. In machine learning, there's a phenomenon called overtraining. And overtraining is when you only tune your model using a data set that is very specific and not necessarily representative of what audiences you'll have in the future. And so if you have overtrained your data set, if you have overtrained your model, if you're only telling jokes because you only know how to tell jokes to people in a bar, and then you try and tell those same jokes to a new data set, to a new group of customers, you've overtrained, you're gonna fail. Same thing with comedy. You need to practice your jokes and try them for a wide group of people, and you start to learn what jokes work with which audiences.